Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to have a full productive day. I have my entire house to myself for the whole day, which never happens. Even my homeschool kids are gone for the day. They have an all day, like 8-hour rehearsal for a show coming up. And my plan for today is to organize and purge this pantry. There are some home canned goods in here that need to be opened and tossed to the chickens. Nothing's wrong with them, but I've learned the hard way over the last several years that there are some things that I've canned over the years that my family just does not care for. Carrots is one of them. Carrots get ultra mushy when you can them, and they're just not, they taste like baby food. So I'm gonna open several of those and toss them to the chickens. I did some Rebel canning a couple years ago, and I canned like a red beans and rice base. I did not use a recipe. I did not follow any like authorized safe canning methods, and I don't want to take any chances with those. There's only like 3 or 4 quart jars, so I'm going to open those and toss them. I ended up putting some of my soap making and body care products on some shelves above here that you can't see in this part, and I need to see if maybe I need to put those in a different area to make more room for food storage. But I also want to talk a little bit about household storage, like personal products, cleaning products, non-food items in addition to pantry stuff, as we are facing cost increases with these tariffs and just inflation and this potential like recession or depression that is being rumored day in and day out. So I just wanted to kind of discuss how our family is kind of hedging up some protection around that. And I'd love to hear from you as well. So let's get into my day. My twins brought down 2 ginormous hampers of dirty laundry this morning, which was such a gift. So I probably have 4 loads of laundry to run for them. Normally they would do it themselves, absolutely. But I'm going to be working in here anyway, so I'm going to keep those loads of laundry going for them as I work. So let's jump in.
Y'all, as I am editing this now, I cannot get over how much I was able to get done yesterday. So I was getting the first load of laundry going, and you can see what I have left. It really did end up being 4 loads. So now I'm moving some stuff over, transferring some towels that were in the dryer to my bedroom to be folded, and then getting another load of the girls' laundry going. I am defrosting a package of New York strip steaks as well as some pecana steaks. The pecana ends up being a much tougher steak than I remembered. This is only the second time I've made it. It's from the beef cow that we butchered in February. Now I am getting started on the pantry. There were so many things, like this has just kind of become like a catch-all as I get in from the grocery store, random little trips here and there, or things get left out in the kitchen. We just kind of bring it in and place it on a shelf wherever it'll fit. And it has just proven to create a lovely disaster in the pantry. This box of Pyrex glass storage dishes has been on the floor, open, kind of sticking out on the floor of the pantry for months. Sam's Club was having a sale on these. I think I got these boxes for $24.99 maybe. They were normally $30, I believe. And this was when I was really trying to swap out as much of our plastic storage containers as possible. And we have now made a total switch. All we use is glass. We've got these Pyrex dishes as well as just storing things in glass mason jars. We have a ton of them in every possible size because of all the other things we do on the farm. So I am finally getting this box unpacked, and I'm probably going to end up putting these in the pantry, just kind of in a storage area, because I don't need to have all of these in our storage container drawer in the kitchen. There's not room. Another thing I did not too long ago was purchase a case of 4 ounce, what would that be? A half pint? No, that's like a quarter of a pint. Anyway, a little bitty 4 ounce mason jars that I use for things like dip and sauces and stuff that I put in my kids' lunches. Because it's actually pretty hard to find storage containers for lunch boxes that are not plastic, especially the little small ones. So the little bitty 4 ounce jars were perfect. Now I am removing things from the pantry that don't belong, like these bags of seed potatoes. They can go into the greenhouse, and I hope to get them planted this weekend. I'm grabbing these boxes of tea bags. They're 1 gallon size tea bags. And you can see in the top right corner of this cabinet, I put them up there. In this cabinet, we keep honey, lots of honey on that top shelf. Azure Standard had a really great deal on raw organic honey. Gosh, I don't know, over a year ago, I think. And we haven't had to purchase honey since. I also store lemon juice, cornstarch, baking powder up there. And then I've got glass containers of brown sugar, powdered sugar, oats, all-purpose flour, and regular organic sugar in this cabinet because I use those often. So I took this time to go ahead and refill my sugar canister because it was almost empty. One really important thing to remember about food storage is it's so incredibly important to keep inventory of what all you are storing, what all you're purchasing, and the things that you go through most often. So as you can see, this is my spice cabinet. And really, when you open any top cabinet in my kitchen, the things that we use most often are what are on the bottom shelf, maybe the second shelf up as well, but that's as far as I can reach. Even here, I'm standing on a step stool. I have not taken good stock of my spice cabinet in quite a while, and I have purchased a few new like Kinder seasonings and Mexican street corn seasoning that I found at Costco. What I realized when cleaning out this bottom shelf was that I had duplicates of quite a few things, like sesame seeds when we did a sesame crusted tuna a couple months ago. I had 2 half-empty containers of dried dill that I use in our homemade ranch mix. So I was able to consolidate those. I have a shelf, I believe it's 3, well, really the third and fourth shelf up are extras. And so anytime I have duplicates of something or I've specifically purchased extra of the bulk spices that we use most often, I store those on this third and fourth shelf up just so it's out of the way, but I know it's there. And I also try to keep them displayed in a way where I can see what we have extras of. Now it's back to the pantry. This shelf in particular was kind of overwhelming to me because it is where things just kind of were placed over the last month or two. And sometimes that overwhelms me because I just don't know where to start. So I basically started by removing things that didn't belong, things that maybe didn't even belong in the pantry at all. They would have a better place somewhere in one of the kitchen cabinets. So you'll see that in just a minute. That bag that I just grabbed those are our green coffee beans that I order from Amazon and I roast myself once a week. And so I can move those to the kitchen freezer and I will roast those next week. Here I am consolidating 2 open containers of Italian breadcrumbs, which, by the way, will come in handy in about a month or month and a half when we start having zucchini coming in from the garden. Oh, I cannot wait. It's always kind of a very special tradition to have our first meal of homegrown zucchini. Now I am gathering up some of the goodies that I bought at the Asian market a couple of weeks ago. Again, this was just an area. You can see those bottles to the left of my arm. These are all things that I bought just a few weeks ago, but I haven't done anything with them yet. I think I had one of my children just place them wherever they'll fit in the pantry, and that is where they have stayed. So now it's time to figure this mess out. Right now I'm opening a cool little bag that was like all folded up and had this band tied around it, and I didn't know what it was for, but it actually holds all the tools for our sushi making kit. So that was really neat. And I went and placed it in the kitchen so that I could get everything that goes in there and then store that in a drawer in the kitchen. Now I'm arranging all of our jars of homemade bone broth and consolidating some pasta. This is some angel hair pasta that I'm putting in our storage container so I can throw the bag away. Then I made an executive decision. Those Takis went in the trash. It is not food. I don't think there's any real food products in it. Those are disgusting, neon-colored, crunchy, non-food snacks. So I threw them in the trash with zero guilt whatsoever. Now, this bag of garbanzo beans has been sitting in the pantry for a little while, and I've been wanting to make this fresh Indian salad with it from the Indian restaurant. I got a recipe from a friend, and it calls for chickpeas. So I'm going to go ahead and soak these, and then I will cook them tomorrow and let them cool, and maybe if the recipe is good, I will share it. When soaking any legumes, I like to use our Berkey water, so I'm not soaking it in chlorine water. We are on city water here on our farm. Our soil is way too sandy. We actually had a neighbor lose about $10,000 trying twice to dig a well, and it collapsed both times. While I'm filling this bowl with water, I went ahead and refilled the Berkey as well. My family members have a terrible habit of using the last of the water and not refilling them. All right, now it's moving on to this cabinet where I keep all of my chai spices and stuff. And I used to have this cabinet right here on the top was where I would store our like baked good treats and stuff and ingredients such as brownie mixes, cookie mixes, chocolate chips, or different baking chips. And we haven't had any in quite a while. And I'll be honest, as much as I love homemade baked goods, sometimes there is nothing like the convenience of a couple boxes of Ghirardelli brownie mix. That is my absolute favorite. In fact, I'm super excited that tomorrow's Friday, and I think we will have some brownies as a treat dessert after dinner. But that's what I'm placing in this cabinet. So I've got some semi-sweet chocolate chips. I just purchased these in a recent grocery run because I wanted to replenish this cabinet for convenience sake. Plus, summer break is coming up. Whew, I cannot wait. I also bought some Heath toffee bits and some butterscotch chips because oatmeal scotchies are the cookie of my childhood. As I was cleaning out and organizing and kind of purging the pantry this day, I was also contemplating our food storage and our household storage throughout the entire time. We go through a lot of avocado oil these days. We use it for anything that calls for oil, whether we are frying or just making something in a pan that just requires like a tablespoon of oil. I use half of a bottle of avocado oil just to make our mayonnaise, which sometimes is twice a week, depending on what we're making. I haven't purchased mayonnaise at the grocery store in a long time now. I can't remember quite how long. I don't think it's quite been a year, but probably close to it. And we really enjoy the mayonnaise that I make at home, but it does go through a whole lot of avocado oil. But when you price out good, clean mayonnaise, which actually is pretty hard to find, it's very expensive. And so using $5 worth of avocado oil for a big quart jar of homemade mayonnaise is not too bad. I'm also putting this potting soil in the greenhouse. I have no idea why it was in the pantry. I bought some canned collard greens when I was at Walmart last because my mother-in-law found a delicious New Year's soup recipe. So it's got all the traditional Southern New Year's foods in it, like collards, black-eyed peas, and what is the other thing? Normally cornbread. But this one has collards, black-eyed peas, diced tomatoes, smoked sausage or like kielbasa. It was so good. Now, my kids were not a huge fan, but Josh and I loved it. And I thought, I need to buy some more canned collards because I'm not about to make fresh collard greens for a soup anytime throughout the year. But it would be a really easy soup to throw together and then freeze in my super cubes and pull out for single serving like lunches on the weekends or something. Now I'm consolidating our sushi rice to get more stuff out of the pantry and into the trash. I also took our sweet potatoes into the kitchen because we're going to have those with our steak tonight. And I was thinking about other non-perishables. I have had to call on a neighbor of mine multiple times in the last couple of weeks. And to be fair, thankfully, she has had to call on me as well. Thankfully, everyone knows to call us if they need milk or something to make mozzarella cheese or butter. But I had been completely out of pasta, like everything but angel hair pasta, for months. I don't know how that happened. So I have been slowly adding things to my list to restock our non-perishables. Things like different shaped pasta that I can't necessarily make at home when I make homemade pasta, and just other dried goods. Now I've decided to designate this little corner of the pantry to all of my Asian ingredients that are kind of only used on occasion, not things that I use regularly. So we're talking like oyster sauce, fish sauce, mirin, sushi rice, seaweed, tamarind paste, sesame oil. What else? Rice paper. We've been on a really big summer roll kick lately, which has been fun and super yummy. I used to order our organic fair trade cocoa powder from Azure Standard, but theirs has more than doubled in price. In fact, I think it has like tripled. It was something absurd. So I am now purchasing organic fair trade cocoa powder from Walmart. It is the Great Value brand. I can't believe it, really. And it is a fraction of the cost. It's like what Azure used to charge before their prices went way up. And so when I'm able to find it, I typically will buy 6 to 8 bags at a time, and I just keep it on a pantry shelf. We actually use a lot of it because we make homemade chocolate milk a couple of times a week, as well as a Trim Healthy Mama protein shake that all of my kids love, and that calls for a heaping tablespoon per serving. So we go through a lot of cocoa powder, and I really, really like this brand. So I'm keeping this on the baking shelf in the pantry from here on out. Our steaks are defrosted, and I have seasoned them with nothing but Montreal steak seasoning, and now I am separating them into 2-gallon bags, and I'm going to put them in a pot with the sous vide for about 4 hours before I sear them on the skillet before we eat tonight. I know I've talked about my sous vide many times on my channel. I love it. I love it for burgers, for steaks, for pork tenderloins. It's just fantastic for making your meat really tender and getting it to the perfect temperature. I think that is my favorite thing, is that it will bring your food to the exact temperature you want, and it won't bring it above, it won't fall below, and your food is not sitting in water or juices. I guess there's a little bit of juices in the bag by the time you're finished, but it's not like a crock pot or instant pot where you end up with your food really kind of sitting and boiling in the juices that it has created. It just produces a really delicious product with meat, and I use it probably at least once a week. We like our steaks medium rare, which is 135 degrees, so I set the sous vide at 133, and then of course it'll go up a few degrees when I sear it in the skillet later in the evening. Now I am going to prep the sweet potatoes. My plan is just to peel and cube about 4 sweet potatoes, and then I like to coat them in avocado oil. And there's this delicious seasoning that I find at Walmart called Potato Slayer. It is so good. I'll try to leave a link in the description box. It's like $6 or $7 for this bottle, and I've got to figure out a copycat recipe to make it myself because it's kind of expensive for the size bottle that we get, but it makes the best fry seasoning, roasted potato seasoning. I actually toss our Brussels sprouts in the same seasoning. It's got a tiny bit of a kick to it, so if I don't want any spice at all, I'll add maybe equal parts salt and pepper and potato slayer seasoning, but it's delicious. And even my younger kids who don't care for anything spicy are okay with a little bit of it. But I love the contrast between the sweetness of the sweet potatoes, and then just a little bit of salty, spicy kick from the potato slayer. If you've never tried it and it sounds good, trust me, get yourself a bottle. You will not regret it. These sweet potatoes have been sitting in my pantry for probably a month or two. No, actually, I think I bought these on my last grocery haul, because normally I don't have to buy sweet potatoes until about this time of year because they do so well in the garden. But I did not have a great sweet potato harvest in my garden last year. I'm hoping to do better this year, although I did not start any of my own slips. And last year I did all my own slips. Maybe that was why I didn't do well. My slips were just not very healthy. I don't think they were at all. So I'm going to go to our local feed and seed store and see if they've gotten any slips in yet. I'll go this weekend. But I haven't had roasted sweet potatoes in a while, and these were so delicious. I ate probably way too many long before dinner that night. Now I'm getting these towels folded up and put away. I've been wondering where all of our what we call dog towels have been. It's just old towels that are kind of raggedy and have been retired. We keep them in the back of the pantry, and we use those like when the cow needs to be dried off or the dogs need a bath. Here I am just showing you that I have kept my bedroom clean and tidy. A couple of Saturdays ago, or maybe it was just last Saturday, I had a really fantastic, productive day, and I was able to just get a lot of stuff done. And when I'm able to do a hard reset in my house, I'm able to maintain it so much easier. And it just feels like no matter what type of busy season I'm in, I'm able to handle it. Here I am making the butter spread for cinnamon toast. A few weeks ago, I made my soon to be daughter in law a birthday cake, and I was trying to make the cream cheese icing with our raw cream, and I kept turning it into butter. It was like it was bypassing the whipped cream stage and was going straight to butter. So I'm not really sure what that means. If you have had raw milk issues with making whipped cream in the past, I'd love to hear your advice. But the problem was when it turned into butter, I had already added the powdered sugar and the vanilla and the pinch of salt or whatever. And so it was sweetened butter. And I thought, well, I'll stick it in the freezer and we can use it for sweet things like cinnamon toast or adding to French toast or something like that. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I did add 1 cup of sugar. This was 2 sticks of butter. So normally I would have added 2 cups of sugar. I know it's a lot. It's Pioneer Woman's cinnamon toast recipe. And then 2 heaping tablespoons of cinnamon. It is so yummy. It takes me back to my childhood, except in my childhood. First of all, I think we used country crock instead of real butter. And then we would just sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top and then a little bit of cinnamon. I love this method so much more. It produces the most delicious cinnamon toast. And I feel less guilty about feeding this treat to my kids because, first of all, it's raw homemade butter, it's organic sugar, and this is homemade bread with freshly ground whole wheat. So, I mean, if you're going to have a sweet snack, this is probably a really good choice. As I mentioned earlier, 5 of my kids had an 8-hour rehearsal this day. Their show opens next week. I'm so excited to see it. It's Newsies, which is one of my favorite musicals. And my son, that is in college as a musical theater major, he actually played the lead role, which is Jack Kelly. 4 years ago when our local community theater did it. It was their first show back from COVID. And oh my goodness, I still cry every time I watch those videos because he did such a phenomenal job. And it was really a bucket list role for him. Here are my finished roasted sweet potatoes. It looks like a very mediocre pile, but that is because my daughter Zoe and I kept going back to the pan and eating pieces with our fingers because they were so, so good. You can see here that I lost my ball cap because I had time to take a shower and wash my hair. All right, now I'm opening these jars of canned goods that I am going to give to the chickens. I've got this big stainless steel bowl on this shelf, and I am going to empty these jars of, let's see, I have a few quart jars of beans, like northern beans and black beans, that all of the liquid had gotten siphoned out of. And as a result, we really ended up with almost like a bean paste. All the contents inside the jar were almost dry. They were really compacted in there. There was no way I was using that in a recipe. And then I had canned some split pea soup, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And the longer it sat on the shelf, the worse it looked. I don't think there had been enough liquid in it. Again, these were some rebel canning projects that I tried just kind of on a whim, trying to put some ready-made meals on the shelf, but I didn't follow any recipes, and that was a huge mistake. You don't ever want to do that when you are pressure canning or water bath canning. So I still would love to put some ready-made meals on my shelves, but I will be following some tried and true recipes next time. I am also disposing of the red beans and rice base that I had made. It's basically everything that you would pour on top of the rice. If you made red beans and rice, I even included, I think there was some venison andouille sausage, which we didn't really care for anyways. I don't know what I was thinking, but this bowl was full and pretty heavy by the time I finished dumping all these jars in. But my pantry looks so much better. The shelves are cleared off, and now what remains are things that we are actually going to go through. There is no point in food storage that your family is not going to eat. So I would say if it is still good and you know you're not going to eat it, donate it to a food bank or a food pantry. Don't hang on to it just for the sake of keeping it. The thought crossed my mind to go ahead and pressure can some more dried beans, but I realized, what am I thinking? We are headed into garden season and I need to keep all of these jars clean and empty and ready for garden harvest because it is going to be here before we know it. I am so thankful to have had a whole day to get this big project done. It really took, honestly, longer than I thought it would, but it's so valuable to have this visual inventory and know that what is left in the pantry is what we're actually going to use. I've run out of time and will have to shoot a separate video regarding household storage, but I hope this inspired you to tackle a trouble spot of your own in your house. I promise you will be so glad that you did. Thanks for watching.